in a manual work, why would you use a shovel when you have a tractor? There's absolutely no point of doing it.
Right.
So my own attitude is that everybody needs to learn the tools as quickly as possible. Of course, you need to be sensitive. You don't put into open internet sort of things that are company sensitive. But
Hello, everyone, and welcome to HireWithEve.ai podcast. I'm Rahul Abhishek, your host and CEO and founder of HireWithEve.ai, an AI agent for applicant screening that helps reduce hiring time by 90%. Today, we have a very special guest joining us from Finland, and it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Timo Leskinen. To introduce Timo, he is currently the Executive Vice President of Human Resources at Vaisala. Vaisala is a Finnish company that produces products and services for environmental and industrial measurement for national meteorological, aviation authorities, defense forces, to name a few, and currently has over 2,000 employees and does an annual sales business of 540 million. That is in the year 2023. Timo also has previously worked in companies such as Konecranes, Fiskars, and Nokia, and holds a dual master's degree in psychology and business research. He is currently also pursuing his doctorate in business administration from Henley Business School. So welcome to the podcast, Timo.
thank you, Rahul, for having me.
Great, great. So I think that is a very, very impressive career and educational trajectory. Would be great to, as a warm-up, to really understand from your own words, how have you seen yourself throughout your career, and what has your journey been?
Well, thank you for asking. I think I've been super lucky. So being given the opportunities and having the opportunity to work with such a diverse set of people across my career has been able to push me forward. So I don't consider myself to be in any way special, but I feel that I have had the opportunity to work with special people who have been giving me special opportunities. And that has been driving my career forward. And I think it is also important that I've been personally also taking those opportunities when they have come around. So having the opportunity to move between companies, between positions, and also between functions. And I think one of the great contributors towards my own career has been the fact that I have been able to also work in other functions than HR, like business development and strategy. Then that has been helping me to work with different business leaders during my career.
Great, great, great. And I think, thank you for sharing that with us, Timo. Now let's deep dive into our podcast. And Timo, one of our sincere belief about the function of HR is that we feel they are the superheroes of the organization. And let me just elaborate why we say that. Is because that is, as a function and a domain, really brings and gathers the team of people, which really makes the mission and the vision of the company alive. I would just like you to reflect and hear your kind of perspective to that notion. Yeah, and then we can dig deeper into that.
Here, Raul. I don't think that I would disagree in any way what you say. And I think the special thing about the HR's role is that during one day you can wear multiple hats. So you can be the HR and you can be the business strategist, so the business leader or the lawyer or the psychologist or the consultant or the administrator, sometimes even a janitor, everything during one day, and you would need to continuously change the way that you address the topics, the people, the issues that you're encountering. And I think that that is one of the biggest demands for the HR. So you need to be able to have both your mind and your heart in the game all the time, and being able to address and meet the different kinds of people in different kind of situations and change roles. And I think that that is the superpower that all of the HRs do have. Being able to work with people with different kind of issues, regardless, are you talking about the business strategy or are you talking about maybe a very personal issue for an individual employee, all during just matter of hours.
Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely, it makes sense. That is definitely a role that has several
Mm,
hats that, the person has to wear perhaps even in a
mm,
single day or an hour. It makes a
yes.
lot of sense. Now, Timo, one of the strong now trends that we have been lately seeing in the market, and it would be great to get a bit of your perspective on it, is the aspect of future of work.
Hmm.
I'd like to understand from you, what is your vision for the future of work, I would say mega trend, and that too with the advent of AI.
That's a fantastic question again, and it's so multifaceted, and it is so quickly changing that it is difficult to pinpoint on what is the future of work or what it will be like. I would rather say that the now of work is the important thing. And the now of work needs to happen tomorrow, year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. And you need to continuously adapt to the changes that the environment puts on you, but also how you can put those requirements towards the environments. Because if you're only waiting the environment to change and you adapt, then you usually are left behind. So you cannot and will not be able to be successful. So you need to be a bit adaptive and you need to be a bit visionary. And there is no wrong or false of trying different things all the time. So like you said, there is multiple things that are currently changing the way that we work. I think one of them is technologies,
Yeah.
regardless of are we talking about the communication technologies, and then there is or are we talking about AI? These both and the societal changes as well are impacting on how the employees are changing. Then we're going through a very significant generational shift
Yeah.
and the workforce changes where you need to host all different generations at the same time and help them to understand each other and making sure that you're able to provide a good, healthy environment for everybody in the company, regardless of their hopes and wishes. The globality hasn't changed, so the world continues to be global. So you need to be able to work across different cultures, across different time zones, across different legislations all the time. And these are coming more and more common for every single employee. So it's no longer restricted only for few selected people that work internationally. Apparently, in the global companies, almost everybody's working globally.
Yeah.
And then these all becomes a melting pot of the requirements for the companies to be able to create a good environment for their employees, at the same time driving happiness and productivity.
Right.
So when we talk about the future of work or the now of work, we need to look at it from many different points of view. And I think the latest revolution has been AI. And
Yeah.
the AI is driving a lot of behaviors. I think many companies are currently still struggling on finding anything else like some individual benefits for them. But I think that we are just in a way a few months or few years away where there will be a complete revolution on how the processes work. And when we change how the processes work, then that changes how the organizations work. So I think that the next thinking is that how do you build the organization to be AI proof?
Right.
Because especially, for example, in HR, you need different kind of roles and the roles are changing. So for example, in our company, we now need to have AI experts because we
Correct.
are using AI in supporting the processes and the interaction with the employees. So somebody actually needs to understand the technology behind the AI. And then the documentation and the processes need to change because even if some people think that AI can be purely sort of put them around anything, sometimes you need to change your process to be AI proof, at least currently. And by that, you need to change the way that you operate, that it will be AI fit. And
Right.
then the people who are doing that then needs to understand that better than what they have otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very interesting, very relevant. And the now of work, I think that is very, very, I would say, relevant that for people who are having a hard time defining what is future of work, I think this gives a great perspective. So thank you for that, Timo. Of course, there were several aspects you talked about, but the very ending was about AI, readiness
Yes.
for AI, and proof against AI. I think that is also an interesting notion. If I could ask you to delve a bit more deeper, what do we mean by proofing against AI? If you could elaborate more on that.
All right. As you well know, Raul, there is no one AI. AI is still divided to multiple different elements, and I think the latest revolution that brought the AI to everybody's knowledge was the large language models.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
large language models work very nicely, but they still have certain limitations.
Yeah.
So the large language models don't always understand, especially when you talk about the company's own documentation, it doesn't always understand the context of that documentation. And as it works, it is able to create you a very sensible answer from the documentation that you provide, which is completely true, but in wrong context.
Hmm.
So what you need to do in your documentation and in your processes, you need to always define the context of the documentation and the process for the AI to understand the contextuality of that document, and by that being able to give a right answer, regardless of is it an AI chatbot or a process-related question.
Right.
So that's one of the topics. And then what it means that the people that are creating the documentation, they need to change the documentation so that it is relatively easy to understand from the AI, the way that AI reads material.
Right.
My expectation is that this is about to change. So it will, if somebody watches this podcast in a year or 2 years, they go like, "But that's like so old-fashioned," and that point it most likely is. But this is the reality where we today live.
That is true.
Then the second thing is that uh, the you need to have in the function the people that understand the AI architecture. Even currently, there is even as there you have the chat GPTs and you have the co-pilots and you have other AI solutions. You need to still understand the architecture that you have behind the AIs to be able to create or help your processes to run through the AI. And that is a new role that most of the HRs don't have. So most of the people came to the HR because they want to work with people and not with programs or machines.
Right.
So the HRs are not many HRs are geared towards this. And this comes also, there is a slight generational difference. So people like me who are a bit from the older generation don't have not worked with technology as much as say people with maybe uh, Gen Z generation that are technology natives in these areas. So there is that's also creates a situation that it is a good to have a healthy generational balance within your teams because the people can help each other on also on the AI adaptation.
Right, right, right. I mean, those are of course great points, and for also to listeners to really
Mm.
understand that we need to understand the architecture, the contextuality of the job itself, and then I think all large companies would be in a situation where a bulk of the workforce also is from various generations. So adapting to
Yeah,
tech
yeah,
itself becomes a work.
yeah.
Would be great if we could go a bit deeper because obviously the truth is, or the fact rather, is that organizations of all sizes do have to adapt to the new technology.
Yes.
So then, what are some of the earlier or initial workflows where you feel it is safe to pilot or test these kind of technologies? So even the people in the company, again, from multiple generations, can see for their own eyes how it really kind of helps them, supports them, and doesn't take away the people aspect of the business and work.
Okay. That is a good question, and I think that you can use AI in many different things. Let's start with the easiest one is that I think that anybody who has been working in any bigger company and tries to find information, you very quickly find that it is really difficult because of the search functionalities don't really work that well in the intranets of the company, and the documentation is usually scattered around the company. So in these kind of situations, I think the one of the key uh, benefits of the current large language models is that they can find and summarize your information with astonishing speed.
Right.
So it means that you can make your chatbots as easy to use as Google is. So there is only one field, you go there and you ask a question and out comes an answer. And I think that you don't really need to be a technology savvy to be able to do that. I think that uh, at least sort of, a 99.9% of the people in our company can use Google. So we need to also, for the AI, create a similar kind of user experience. So that's
Right.
the one sort of use case. The second one is a similar use case, but in other areas. So it is basically, for example, in recruitment, when you open a position in talent acquisition and you have, for example, 300 applications,
Right.
it is a mountain of work looking that through quickly.
Right.
So having an AI to support on, here is my position criteria. Please find me the 10 most suitable CVs to fit with
Candidates.
these
Yeah.
criteria.
Yeah.
That's really helps you to fasten the process and find the right things. Now, be also mindful in here. There is a possibility that you miss something. There is both false positive and false negatives in this process,
Right.
as with the current AI, because and it's usually not related to AI. It is about our human capabilities of defining well on what we really want.
Right.
So sometimes you actually need to start that sort of, provide me a wider number of candidates, and then you sort of quickly cross-reference them against your requirements, and you become better with this all the time. That would be one. Then there is a process elements, which you can, in the combination of AI and robotic process automation, you can fasten process and eliminate manual topics. And then I think what is the most used by people is just help me to write this thing quickly or summarize me this document
Right. And
quickly.
summarize.
And by
Yeah.
that, you can eliminate the a lot of the time from and create individual productivity for employees.
Of course, of course, of course. I mean, those are fantastic, I would say, use cases, and a bit of also awareness about both the negatives and the positives, I think definitely can help a lot of professionals like across the organization, not just HR.
Exactly.
I think, Timo, a couple of my next question relates to the challenges of an HR professional. And I think in some of our initial conversation, you gave hints of subtle, challenges of tech and people. Would be great if you just
Yeah.
kind of focus now today. What are some of the challenges that you've seen HR professionals, also leaders, encounter in this kind of year and with the whole kind of shift?
Yes, I think it was really interesting to see how people think when the ChatGPT 3.0 was announced, sort of in a way, 1.5 years ago. And there
Yeah.
was like two different reactions. One was like, wow, great, this is going to help me. And then the other one was that let's tell our employees not to use this. I was like, how can anybody can come into that conclusion that you have a like it's like in the manual work, why would you use a shovel when you have a tractor? There's absolutely no point of doing it.
Right.
So my own attitude is that everybody needs to learn the tools as quickly as possible. Of course, you need to be sensitive. You don't put into open internet sort of things that are company sensitive. But there's a lot of things that are not company sensitive. So, for example, I think HR is a good example. I don't think we at Vaisala have any HR policy that would be so super sensitive that if our competition would be able to read our policy, then it would give them a competitive advantage.
Right.
No. But there is a lot of things that when you actually have it and you're able to modify it with the help of AI, you actually get a significant benefit.
Yeah.
So I think and then the second hesitation is that what employees feel is that, okay, this is going to take my job. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's not true. This is going to help you to do your job. So the AI is not going to take the jobs of the employees. The biggest fear that you have is that you are left behind of the technology, and then you are not as competent as others. So helping people to understand and promoting the technologies is super important, and that goes from a factory worker to the CEO.
Right.
Everybody should be having a learning attitude and capability of doing it. And then there is these sort of tech savvies or tech interested people who then wants to drive the technologies forward. And then you should create them an environment where they can pilot and try in a safe environment.
Yeah. 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 Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. And I think this kind of fear is just a very kind of in the past when computers came. Professors were very much afraid of calculators and computers that it is going to impact a student's learning, but it was the other way around. So definitely,
Exactly.
yeah, but definitely there is that fear that professionals may have. Um, I think in our conversation, we did mention that, we have several generations working in the same
Yeah.
organization. We have to manage that. If we just focus on the younger generation and also, attracting them to our organization, how do you think companies and professionals should now think about this generation and how to be more attractive to kind of attract, good talents to our companies?
I would rather ask you, Raul. I think that you represent the generation more than I do, and I'm just trying to learn from the younger generations on what is interesting. What I've learned so far is that there is some generational differences, and then there is just age differences. So I would say that my generation, when we were in our 20s, we were different than what we're today. So,
Yeah.
so that will unfortunately happen, or fortunately happen to all of the generations, is that when we get more responsibilities, either from family or work or whatever it is, then our attitudes and values slightly change.
Right.
Then the second thing is that there is real generational changes because the truth is that our lives have been different between the way that we lived in our childhood and youth and then adulthood. And by that, that has created different attitudes. And I think that it is good because one only thing, if you go back to when I was young in 80s, the society was different.
Right.
Especially the society in Finland was very different. It was
Yeah.
very homogenic comparing to if you compare Helsinki today, which is starting to be quite multinational in many different ways, and it is starting to be resemble on what big cities like Paris or London are. Not quite there yet, but
Hmm.
closer and closer towards that direction. And I think it is good development. So being living in these environments through your childhood and youth then changes the way that you also adapt. So that is a kind of a long introduction to what then companies need to provide to the younger generation. They need to provide them the environment where they feel comfortable. So they need to provide them open, ethical, societally caring, environmentally caring environment. There is a possibility to develop and operate in a multinational environment where you have both flexibility, freedom, accountability, and possibility to be the best version of you. And if you're able to do that, then you are actually being able to attract people. And I think also the important thing is that the purpose is super important for the younger generation, so that you're not only there to make a living, but you are there helping the society. And a bit of a marketing from Vaisala point of view is that this is our strong side. So our purpose is taking every measure for the planet, which means
Right.
that if you look at our ticket for fame, is that practically everything that we know about climate change has been measured with our equipment. And practically every single product that we have either helps to understand, mitigate, or adapt to climate change. And this is one of the reasons why I work for the company as well.
Wow. I think that was a great, I would say, also us getting to know about what really Vaisala is about, because of course we read about it. However, that's a great definition of
Yeah.
what the company does. But then also thanks for highlighting, in a sense, what values about a job and work really attracts
Yeah.
the young generation. So then, Timo, now we are soon coming to a close to our podcast. But before we do so, then what would be your advice for the younger generation now, having listened to this particular podcast, right?
Yeah.
What would be your advice for them? How should they think about their career, their first job, the work ethic that they should have? And would be great to get your perspective.
Yeah, my first advice is that do the things that you enjoy. Life is too short to do things that you don't enjoy. So, and also, if you do the things that you enjoy, you usually become good at it much faster than if you do things that you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is you cannot always know what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. So try wide. So work in different kind of roles, different kind of environments, different kind of companies, and if possible, in different countries, because that will create you experiences that you would not otherwise do. And have be ambitious and but don't have a plan. So what I mean is that if you basically work with the opportunities that you have and you're always open for change, you will be provided opportunities. Take them when they come. So that's super important. And don't be afraid to ask. So people usually get more if they ask for, could I get a promotion, or could I try this role, or hey, I would be interested in moving to France, or things like that. There is less people, you know what you want more than anybody else. There is a fewer people that's going to come and ask from you on what you want than you have an opportunity to tell people what you want. So that's for the career. It's super important to know yourself, try different things, and ask for what you want. And usually, if that happens, then you will be also lucky. And work with smart people. That's also a fourth opportunity. Work with the people that you enjoy working with, and from the people that you are having the opportunity to learn. And keeping in mind, there is always an opportunity to learn from every single encounter that you have. If nothing else, sometimes it is that, okay, I would not do that. But that's a lesson learned as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great, I think, perspective from you as someone who's, seen the whole industry work across some of the biggest and the most recognizable brands and organization. Those are some fantastic advice. I would take it for myself as well, and the, younger audience about to join their career. So with that, Timo, I would really like to thank you for your time and your perspective. It was really a learning conversation for me as well. And I thank you for your time and wish you the very best going forward.
And thank you, Raul, for having me. It's been a pleasure participating in this podcast.
Perfect. Thank you.